All right, since it's that time, the bewitching time, we'll get this going. So I would thank everybody for coming, Matt. Want to let you guys know that Bob and I have known each other for 20 some years. We go back to the Lowenstein days, which we had a lot of fun as far as doing that. And one thing I want to say about Bob is that Bob's one of these guys that, one, he knows how to build furniture. Two, he has an aesthetic eye that is extremely good. So if you come to him with a project or an opportunity or whatever, he's going to know which way to go, how to do it, what to make. And also, he knows how to take somebody's look and design and then sit there and make it and make sure the furniture is made for the application that's being used. So what we thought we'd do is we put together, this started, the first time we did this was back 5-6 years ago or whatever, where we had a project that Bob will go through it, but we had a project where all these different furniture pieces were specified, all these different manufacturers were specified, and it was going to be a nightmare. So I called Bob up and said, "Hey, Bob, what do you think we could possibly do?" And so Bob came back and said, "We can do it all." And I said, "Well, that'll be interesting as far as price and everything else." So with that, I'll turn it over to Bob, and Bob can sit there and start us off.
Okay, that's quite the introduction. And Tim, I'll send my credit card to you for not saying anything back. I'll take care of you, don't worry. First of all, thank you guys for being with us and including me on this opportunity to talk about this. Tim and his team called this Streamline Design. And I think it's kind of appropriate because it's really about how to simplify and address maybe certain issues and conditions that have been laid out on projects. And it's something that we've been doing as an organization since I started the company 10 years ago. We've had been very fortunate to be involved in a lot of projects, either brought in by dealers or design firms or a combination to address maybe certain challenges that they had on projects. Let me see if I can get this going. Oh, yes. So, why would you look at maybe one manufacturer to do most, if not all, of a certain product category? Let's say ancillary type products. Why would you look for that manufacturer? We've had clients come to us for several reasons. Number one, budgets. That's a big one. Sometimes it's because they've had budget overruns on internal construction issues and things like that have kind of shrunk the budget down when it got to the FF&E.
Right. Well, yeah. And fun. Nice treat.
Sometimes it's been because the budgets got revised, and we've seen a lot of that since 2020, where we have companies that had budgets all set, they had projects ready to go, and because of the pandemic had to put everything on hold, and they got through that and are now coming back and saying, we want to start this project up again, but our budgets have completely changed. We just don't have the money that we had prior to 2020, and we're looking at what we can do to try to maintain as much of the design integrity as possible, but do it at a better price point. Sometimes it's design challenges. You may not have access to certain designs that were specified, or there could be concerns with sourcing. Again, we're seeing a lot of that now because a lot of there are products out there that were specified maybe in 2019 for projects that are now coming back up online, and those companies are no longer in business. So there's a variety of reasons. Normally, we'll see it because of kind of a combination of those, budget and design considerations. So we'll be able to get the opportunity to come in, be involved in the project, and hopefully bring some solutions and ideas to that. You know, what are the benefits of maybe looking at one or a small group of manufacturers? Reduce cost, obviously, that's one of the driving factors. And those are both direct and indirect costs. Direct costs, the cost of the product. Indirect costs is really built around time management. Simply not having to juggle as many sources, making sure finishes match and fabrics get to the right company and so on and so forth. You narrow that scope down and you find that your indirect costs will definitely go down. Sometimes it's,
Hey, Bob, when you sit
yeah.
there and say reduce cost, I mean, are you just talking the reduced cost of the product, or are you talking like any other reduced costs?
Well, you got reduced cost of the product, obviously, but you can also look at freight factors and reducing the cost there. And again, I think that people don't really focus so much on these indirect costs. Now, I'll give you a great example of that on this. We'll look at this little case study, but I think there's multiple opportunities. There's opportunities to save costs in multiple areas, not just getting what was $1,000, budgeted $1,000 chair for $800. There are a lot of things that when you go to a single manufacturing focus, that manufacturer should be able to bring to you that will allow you to save costs.
Hey, Bob, have you been able to show or see like the design firm, for example, maybe we're able to reduce their actual cost of how much it costs them to do the project?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes,
I'm here.
there have been a number. We just did a project here in North Carolina for High Point University, work with a local design firm, and I literally was able to sit down with them and help them come up with the concept that they were looking for. That some of the products were standard products for us, some of them were custom products, but because we have a pretty extensive reach for resources both here and in Italy, we were able to help them find the exact chair that they wanted at a better price on the other options they were using. And again, for the design firms, of course, it's all about billable hours. Being able to be a sort of the assistant to help do that.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be.
Cut down on the amount of time that they were going to spend on just the furniture and focus more maybe on the fabrics and finishes and those types of things. So when Tim came to me and asked me to be a part of this, he wanted me to try to find a case study that would kind of exemplify some of the points we're trying to get across today. And coincidentally, the case study that probably was the best example of that was in his own backyard, and a project that he brought to us, which was First Energy Stadium. Tim came to me after having conversations with the local people, and said, "Is this something you think that you would, number one, want to be involved with?" And of course, I said yes, resoundingly, but thought that we could bring all of those elements that they were looking for into this project. And as I shared with him then, we felt very confident we could do that. Really, there were 4 objectives on this project. Number one was they were way over budget and looking to cut $500,000 out of the F&E budget alone on the project. So cut the budget by $500,000. Number 2, do so without compromising the design integrity. The design concept for this renovation had actually been approved 2 years prior. It was the 3rd of 3 phases that they were going through. And so they didn't want to change the design or try to keep the design as close as possible. obviously don't compromise the quality. This is a high traffic, heavy use environment. People are there, they're having fun, they're standing up on furniture, doing all the things you're not supposed to do, but do anyway. And so the quality of the furniture needs to be there.
Bob, and some of them, I think we had to raise the quality of the furniture.
Well, we did a lot on this package.
Yeah, the Crate and Barrel bar stools really weren't gonna fly over too well in that main area.
Well, they may have flown, but it would only have been one time.
Yeah. Good point.
And then the other thing was a personal objective by the owner, and that they really wanted to see how much of this furniture could be made here in the United States versus outsourcing it all over the world. And that was a personal thing that they had because of still some challenging economic times that Cleveland was going through, and they wanted to be able to say that this furniture was produced here in the United States. So that's what we were, the four main objectives. What I'm going to show you going through this really quickly is where it started and where we ended up, because I think that from a visual standpoint is as important as anything. So this is the original rendering from the design firm of what the suites were going to look like. This was two different type options on the suites, either the communal table with bar stools or more of a lounge type seating. This is how the suites turned out from a design, for the furniture design perspective. As you can see, we were able to take that concept that they had and show them options that were very close in design, but also allowed them to achieve the goal of cutting the budget on this. Same thing here. This was the Fantasy Football Club or Lounge. This was the original rendering. This is how the club ended up coming out. Again, they decided to go with more bar stools and chairs here and remove some of the lounge seating simply because of the type of activity level that they thought would be in this area. This was a city club. Again, the rendering from two different perspectives. This is how the club came out. Because again, the idea here was not to dumb down the design or the quality level. It was really just to come up with suggestions, working with both the dealer, the design firm, the owners, as well as the facility managers, and to come up with great options that everybody felt good about from both of a design and structural integrity perspective. These were the renderings of the North-South Club. And again, these were the finished products. Again, I think we came very close to interpreting the design that was originally approved by the ownership, but we're also able to bring in some intellectual value into this. For instance, the design firm really was trying to come up with a unique look for these communal tables. And so we were able to work with them directly and jointly design something that was kind of unique looking, that brought in a brushed stainless steel base with an insert laminate top, and give this space kind of a unique look from that perspective, and really tie in with the other design elements in the space. And this was my favorite club that we did, this draft room. I love this look, this very eclectic look. Again, looking at the rendering versus the finished product, I think we were, again, able to help them accomplish exactly what they were trying to achieve. And again, was able to bring in some kind of cool ideas. For instance, the lounge seating that you see in the bottom right-hand corner, that was originally supposed to be a distressed leather on those pieces, which again was very expensive. I think the leather they were looking at was somewhere around $22 a square foot. We're able to source a faux leather product that had a distressed look. And so when you rolled it out, it looked just like faux leather, but the more you manipulated the product, the more of a distressed look that it got. So we literally ended up cutting and sewing these covers, and then we just take and roll them up and ball them up before we ended up upholstering the piece. And I think they came out phenomenal. And again, from a maintenance standpoint, were easier to take care of than the actual leather. Same thing on the tables down again on the lower right hand corner. These tables were kind of unique in that they wanted to put a the first thought was a decal on top of the table. Some of the tables just said Cleveland Browns football team. Others were to pay homage to the members of the Cleveland Browns who had made it into the Hall of Fame. So again, I'm not a big fan of decals. I've never been a big fan of decals because I don't know, they just don't have a real three-dimensional effect. So what we were able to do is come up with a way of using a laser engraving machine and engraving the top of the tables, including the most difficult part, which was the Hall of Fame logo, which was about the size of a 50-cent piece. And we were able to engrave that, then use a clear epoxy over it to smooth everything and level the tabletop out, and then put a resin finish over it. So they got this really cool three-dimensional look to the tables, but he also gave them the durability they needed in this type of environment. And then this was the all access lounge here. We go back to our 4 objectives that we had on the project. Obviously, one of them was to try to cut $500,000 out of the budget. I think, and I can't remember exactly, but I know that was exceeded probably pretty dramatically, because we helped them save $489,000 on the furniture package alone. And because the majority of the furniture was coming from us, one source, we were able to, the dealer was actually able to put a schedule together, an installation schedule together, and we actually shipped product by that installation schedule. And the installation of this particular installation, which was over 3,200 pieces of furniture, was like a 4-week schedule. So they would literally say, we want the fantasy lounge first. We would load all of the product on 1 truck or 2 trucks just for the fantasy lounge and have it delivered like Monday at 9 a.m. What it did is it allowed the dealer to completely eliminate any need for a warehouse because we were bringing it right into the stadium. They were unloading it and the trucks would leave, and then they would do the install. And then we would bring in the next club area and be able to do that. So I'm sure they exceeded the $500,000 by a dramatic amount. No compromise on the design, or stay as close to the design aesthetic as possible. I'll let you guys determine whether we were able to do that by the renderings versus the final installation shots. I can tell you the design firm was really happy with what we did, which made me happy, because getting into these types of projects, the last thing I want to do is to take something that has been created and everybody's excited about it and end up with product in there that doesn't quite meet the level of what the design intent was. Quality level was one of the third. Did I hear somebody asking a question?
Yeah, hey Bob, have you gotten any more business out of that fairly large design firm?
Yeah, quite a bit. Both in about every type of business environment you can imagine. We've got corporate projects, other sports stadiums and arena projects. We did got $1 million for the Golden State Warriors arena out in San Francisco. And it was because that particular thing was because of some of the customization and things we did on this stadium that actually started with this. So yeah, it's been great. It's been it was a great way for us as a newer company to be introduced to the design firm, and went a long way in helping us gain credibility and the opportunities with their other offices in the other cities.
Hey, Bob, I don't want to jinx us, but like, have you had many calls to have to go and repair or fix any of the furniture at the stadium?
You know, it's funny, diving back into this project that happened, this is 8 years now, ago. One of the things that I tried to focus on was, did we have any issues? And other than we had an issue with some table bases coming loose in the first 6 months, which was addressed like within a week. We have not had one call of any quality issues, which is
how many of the deliveries or whatever were you late on?
none, because I was there at every delivery. So no,
It sounds like from an A&D firm that you're able to save them also time and money. We're trying to coordinate amongst multiple different vendors has got to take an A&D firm a ton of time and effort, and also on the dealer side that wins it, it's got to take them a bunch of time and effort to get all this stuff together and then put it to, you know, the approval process to coordinate them and everything else, where I gotta think that you're saving everybody quite a bit of money that they're hopefully now realizing, or whatever, that they have realized.
well, I think, look, when I started this company 10 years ago, it was one of the foundations that you know, the company was going to be built on was a company that you could come to that would have multiple sources, and those have all been built up over a 30-year plus career. So that, we have the resources both domestically and internationally, but also a real passion for design and an understanding of and the ability to sit side by side with a designer or an architect and hear what they are looking to try to achieve, and then be able to help them do that. And that's a very gratifying thing for me personally. At the end of that project, at the end of the first Energy Stadium, I remember the project designer and the team leader for the design firm was the project manager, and so she was on site off and on for 4 weeks. And I remember walking through there with her the last day, and her telling me, we thought that the furniture part of this was going to be the hardest part of this project, and it turned out to be the easiest part of this project. And it's probably the biggest compliment anyone's ever paid me in my career. And I came back and shared it with the team, both our internal team and then the external team, sources, vendors that were part of the project, because very rarely do you have someone say that to you. And it made myself and the team very proud to be involved in that project.
And so up on the screen now, I see you have a bunch of different projects and markets, and then we're getting short on time. That you sat there and done, and sort of, I want to sort of emphasize to, especially the dealers on the phone call and here, that we understand that you guys have your major line that you have to, bow to or whatever. But most of the projects that we're looking at and we're talking about are stuff that they don't have the product for. If they do, it's such a small part of the project, it's not even funny. Because if you look, now granted, the corporate, it's a little different side of it, but when you get into a university and a multifamily housing, you know, those are projects, especially now, those multifamily, there's a ton of them out there. And I will tell you that if you've ever dealt with an Asian import company, it's a friggin' cluster and a half. Now, can we deal with, we don't deal too much with China. We deal a little more with Vietnam, and it's a little better. But when you're dealing with one supplier and you're dealing with one person, like, you know, Bob and our team, as far as that goes, we stay on top of these things we're extremely diligent about it. We've also worked with a national jewelry chain that we literally would, between our team, find that they would send in multiple orders for the same location, or that they would find that they would order stuff that wasn't right, and we would actually correct it. So we have that, you know, we have that ability as far as to look over that stuff and to also help your end users and also you to sit there and save a little money. So, you know, between the unit, the multifamily housing, the hospitality stuff, there's really nothing that we, you know, Bob can't source. And I can't emphasize enough the importance of somebody like Bob being, you know, the person involved, because of, he knows how to build furniture. I mean, that's how he started in this industry, was building furniture, and he knows how to do it. He's got the way. He also is one that'll sit there and drive or fly or whatever to the factory to make sure that that stuff is coming out right. And he's constantly on it. So with all that stuff, he really does save you time, save you money, save you headaches. He's just a phenomenal resource, and so is his whole team. So
Coming to you, man. I'm sending it all to you. Everything.
There's mixed company, so I can't say what came through my mind immediately, but anyways, plus it's today's world, it probably wouldn't be enough anyways. So anyways, you have anything else to say, Bob, before we open it up?
No, the only thing I'll say is that, like, we just walked through a football stadium, and not every project's a football stadium and has hundreds of chairs and everything. The project doesn't have to be $1 million project to make this work. The concept and what we've been able to put together over the last 10 years, it works for smaller projects too. And I see it every day where somebody will come in and we take a $50,000 what would have been a $50,000 order and help them, and by working with the dealer or the design firm or the end user or a combination of all, take that budget from 50,000 down to 35,000. It's something that we do day in and day out. And so again, it doesn't have to be the $1 million project, and it doesn't have to be in the sports. It translates very well into every other business market.
Yeah, one I forgot too was assisted living. I forgot we've done an assisted living project.
Yeah,
and you can even get to the point where if you want us to look at the wardrobe cabinets, the bedside cabinets, that type of stuff, we can, you know, we have sources. Bob has sources for that also. So anyways, does anybody have any questions? No, well, we thank you. We'll sit there and draw for it. So the first person that won, and what are we giving away this time? Do we know?
We have $50 Amazon gift card. You can choose candles from Bath and Body Works, wine and chocolate, and then headsets.
And Mary Beth, you got the first one. Jacqueline, you got the next one. And Sarah Welsh, you have the other one. So we want to thank everybody for showing up and appreciate it. And if you do have anything, either reach out to any of us. We'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you, Robert.
Thank
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.